through the transverse process, you have the transverse foramen. These big chunks here are called the lateral masses. You have a right lateral mass, a left lateral mass. Okay? On top and bottom of the lateral masses, the smooth joint surfaces are called the superior articular facets and the inferior articular facets. Okay? That is C1, also known as atlas. Okay? Moving on to C2. C2 is the only segment that has this peg on it known as the dens or the odontoid process. Okay? C2 starts your vertebral bodies right here. Here's your vertebral body. Here's your dens. If you look at the anterior surface of the dens, there is a facet. That is the facet of the dens. That articulates with C1, allows your head to move left and right. Okay? Coming out, we have the transverse processes, transverse foramen, once again, left and right. Okay? Where the posterior arch of the vertebrae or posterior aspect attaches to the body, that is known as your pedicle, right here and here. Okay? Coming down, superior articular facets, inferior on the bottom. Okay? Going backwards, this flattened out section are your lamina, and then you would normally have a bifid or bifid spinous process. Okay? This is C2, known as axis. Okay? Moving on down, we grab a cervical vertebrae. I can't stand these plastic things. Cervical vertebrae. From here on down, most of the parts are the same through the rest of the spine. How do I know it's a cervical vertebrae? Well, just the size is kind of small and dainty. Transverse foramens, ding, 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 and a bifid or bifid spinous process, only found in the cervical region. Okay? What do we have here? Vertebral body, okay? Transverse processes, transverse foramens, okay? Pedicles right here. Superior articular facets on the bottom would be the inferior articular facets. The flattened out section is the lamina, and the bifid spinous process. There's an awesome looking one right there. Okay? Moving on down to let me get a better thoracic one. Here's a nice thoracic one. Okay, thoracic vertebrae, look at the vertebral body. It's kind of heart-shaped. Usually has a little bit more AP dimension than the other ones. The other ones were wider. Okay, thoracics have more A to P. Okay, this is the vertebral body. Here is the pedicles right here. Superior articular facets, inferior articular facets, nice big Mickey Mouse transverse processes, and your spinous process here. Okay, flattened out section once again is the lamina. Okay, on the sides you will look at some dimples in here. Okay, these are your costal facets up in here, and there's supposed to be one on the transverse, which we can't really tell here because of it being made out of plastic. Okay, that's where the ribs would articulate with. That's the thoracic vertebrae. Moving on down to the lumbar. The lumbar, look at the sheer size of it. It's huge. Okay, very big body. Once again, the lumbar spine carries the weight of the whole body on top of it. So what we have here, vertebral body. Look at these nice big monstrous pedicles. Hint, hint. Okay, pedicles in the lumbar spine are huge. Nice and good for tagging for an exam. Okay, pedicles are here. Superior articular facets, inferior articular facets. Transverse processes are blade-like, right? They're not really big like the thoracic ones. Lamina, very, very tiny, and then the spinous process here. Okay. For extra points, on the superior articular facets or the processes, you'll notice here there's a hill, and then there's a bump that sticks straight out. Those are known as your mammillary process, mammillary processes. Somebody saw this bone, they must have been flying high on some goat milk or something and thought they looked like boobs. Okay? Mammillary processes right here. Okay? Might be on your test, lumbar spine only. Okay? If you see it tagged on the side, Not on the inside, not on the top. If it's tagged right here or here, mammillary process. I might throw it on there for extra points. Okay? That's it on there. Moving on to the sacrum. This is sacrum. It's an upside down triangle. Okay? The posterior aspect is rigid and knobby. The anterior is nice and smooth. Okay? On the anterior side, we'll start with the top. This is the base right across here. This is the apex where it points down to. Okay? On the anterior side, we have these lines called transitional lines in here. Okay? Those were remnants of your discs that were in there that ossified and turned to bone when the bone fused.
Are they transitional or transverse?
You could, either one, transitional, transverse, okay? Going through here are your sacral foramen or foramina, okay? On the posterior aspect where the spinous processes would normally be, that creates your median sacral crest, okay? Coming out to the side, these two hill structures here are your lateral sacral crests. Remember, bilateral structures, you must put down left or right. If I tag it here, it's going to be the right side. If I tag it here, it's going to be the left. If I tag the median sacral crest, there's no left or right. You don't need left or right on that. Okay? Superior articular processes or superior articular facets I will take. On a real one, there will be a hole in here called the sacral canal. I will use the real one on your exam. I'll show it to you tomorrow. Okay? Bottom would have an opening here called the sacral hiatus. Okay? These wing structures here and here are the ala, A-L-A. Okay? And here is your articulating surfaces here and there. Okay? On the bottom, there's two bumps. The lowest bumps are called the sacral cornu. Okay? Normally, did they clear up already? Normally, the coccyx, which once again is 3 or 4 bones, the coccyx is going to have 2 bumps on it called cornus 2, called the coccygeal cornu, and those will have ligaments that attach the 2 structures together. Okay? That's all you need to know on here. Okay, moving on to the rib cage. Give me the rib, please. I also need the sternum out of the box. Thank you. Okay, this is a rib. Okay, 3 parts that I want you guys to know on a rib. I don't kill you too much. One is the vertebral end. Okay, the other one is the sternal end. How do you differentiate between the two? Next to the vertebral end, or the head as it is known, you will have a tubercle. See this bump right here? That tubercle always points down. Okay, that's how you tell if it's left or right, if you're holding it in the right anatomical position. Tubercle points down, the head is right here, that therefore makes this a right rib. Okay? Sternal end will attach to the sternal cartilage. Okay? That's how you do that. Okay? This is a sternum, overall sternum breastplate, okay, made up of 3 pieces. Unfortunately, on the plastic, you really can't differentiate. Tomorrow, I'll try to find us a real human one. Okay, this is the manubrium, which is the top half. Okay, then this is the body here, or the sternum. Okay, and then down here is the xiphoid process. 3 separate pieces. Okay, in a normal person, these aren't flat. Your rib cage has a taper to it. So right between the manubrium and the body will be an angle in here. I'll show you on a real one if we still have it tomorrow. This angle right here, everybody put this down, is the angle of Lewis. Okay? Angle of Lewis, right up in here. Okay? And that would be it for that. Any questions? Tomorrow we'll continue with this. I'll come around, finish the rest of the group up, and we'll take it from there.